Hi, guys. Today I decided to interview Angela. She's a trainer, professional health coach, and online coach. So she had a lot of clients, she gathered a lot of experience, and that's why I decided to bring her in today. What is most striking to me is the experience she went through. A lot of us overeat, maybe undereat, but it's always the same problem. We sit too much, we have very hectic lives, and in the end, there's not much time left for taking care about our health. So today, I wanted to really drill down with her what are the main issues and how we can actually tackle them. So if you want to know more, stay tuned. We're going to talk about all those things today. I'm EJR, and this is Adult Elite. Hi, Angela. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So, thank you for being here today with me and talking a little bit about your experience and, most importantly, your expertise. I know that you have a role as a trainer, online coach, and a professional health coach, which is really interesting for me. The first question I have for you is how did you come to these roles? How did you find
Mhm.
your inspiration for this?
Yeah, by struggling myself. I was my first client, and I was the person who needed, I think, um, the most help first. And that's when I started educating myself in nutrition, in training. And for me, my own struggles of having problem with food, not having a good relationship with food, not knowing what to do, how to eat correctly, how to manage a work life balance, all those things where I had my struggles helped me to actually become a professional trainer and health coach.
Okay, so when you talk about struggles, may I ask you what kind of impact, how did it work for you?
Oh yeah. It wasn't pretty at the time, and what happened was I I was a banker. I was in finance. I had a management position, and I always wanted to present the perfect picture in the workspace. I had an image in my head how I should look like, how I should, like I said, present myself. I had not a lot of support if it came to my relationship. So there were a lot of friction and struggle as well. And the only thing I was able to control in that situation was my food. So I developed all kinds of different, I would say, eating disorders to have some control at one aspect in my life, which was very harmful. And the weight gain I had in college, which I think happens to a lot of people, was one of the triggers to say, okay, I need to change. I need to be skinny. I need to look successful. And I had all those, I would say, almost like in my head conversations with myself. Is that the reality? No, it wasn't, but it was my reality. So I started, like I said, restricting my food, not knowing what I was doing, not giving my body the nutrition needed. And I lost a lot of weight. I looked very skinny, and I thought I presented a perfect picture, which I probably did, but inside I was crumbling, and I, oh my gosh, was depressed, very, very anxious, had a lot of food conversations all day long. Can I eat this? Can I do this? And if I just a little bit overstepped the mark, I felt like I had to overexercise to balance that out. And all those things added up and caused a lot of health issues until I literally crashed and ended up in the hospital.
Oh, okay. So that was pretty serious. I guess like eating
Hmm.
disorder is something that it's much more than food. I hear this all the
Hmm.
time. You know, we think it's an eating disorder, so it's something about food, but it's just something else. Like you said, it's like control. You didn't have control on anything else except that, so you try to control that side of your life, and then it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, an escape route, I guess, and maybe just we people who have never had eating disorders actually cannot understand it to that point, I guess. It's so deep, right?
Absolutely. And you described it pretty good. It is actually, there's so many other things going on, and the food is just a way of finding an outlet or having a control over something. And it has a lot to do with not being happy with yourself and had a lot to do with, like I said, depression, anxiety, other things what are happening in your life. And the food is just a way of controlling or missing love, interaction, social connection. And the food was just a vehicle to, like I said, control or have an outlet. And I always had the feeling of I had to punish myself if I wasn't good, so I didn't deserve this. Or yeah, there is so much more emotional going on than literally the food. It's not the food.
Mm-mm. So myself, I have not had eating disorder, but of course I restricted calories a lot. um, I did
Mhm.
count calories in a pretty strict way because you need to be also disciplined. I
Mhm.
recall you told me something about measures. I think so. When I was doing it, I'm pretty sure I was underfeeding myself at some point. I think
Mhm.
I did underfeed myself, but I had no control. I mean, I was counting the calories. It was effective because I lost weight, the excess that I
Yes.
wanted to lose. But on the other side, I never really had enough security, you know, of what is my real food intake. Although everything was going into the app, everything was counted, and
Uh-huh.
I felt I had control. But I don't know. You told me something about the measurement differences that we have today compared to what the real measurement and quality of the food is. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Mhm. Yeah, this is such a interesting topic because people are so confused about this. Now, what you need to know is what your basal metabolic rate is. So how many calories you need to eat to be able to exist? What is the amount you should have to be okay and healthy? Now, when you have this number, then you can play. And the interesting part is what we do is we step on the scale, we see a number on the scale, and then we determine, oh, this is too much, or this is not enough, or we're just fixated on one number. And this is not a good tool to actually measure um, like the right amount of what you should be eating or what not, because it depends on your body composition, how much body fat you have and how much muscle you have. And the scale is also not fine tuned enough to describe or tell you if you are on track or not. It's literally just a one number, which doesn't tell you anything. You can see a direction. Okay, I'm losing, I'm going down, but you don't
Mm,
know if you're actually losing body fat or if you're losing muscle. Now, let's play the game of you just restricting too much, which, okay, you eat less, you're going to lose weight. Totally correct. There is, you have to look at that aspect. But if the macros, what kind of foods you're eating are not balanced and the right amounts, you're going to lose very, very, very important muscle tissue. If you lose the muscle tissue in your body, what happens then? The muscle is the glucose sponge in the body. That's what uses up the energy you're actually feeding yourself, the calories, like the carbs, the fats. So this is super high important and treasure. You want to have as much muscle as you can in order to have a flexibility in your diet. Enjoy more food freedom because the muscle is able to burn those calories. So let's say you restrict too much and the body needs to feed off of your muscle tissue. So you're reducing muscle in your body and the scale goes down, but your basal metabolic rate goes down as well. Meaning, all of a sudden, you have to eat less to just maintain the weight because you don't have the muscle anymore like you had before the diet. And see how this is a vicious cycle and it goes downhill. And that when, of course, if the diet is not balanced and it's too restricted and you're losing muscle, at one point your body is going to tell you, wait a minute, I can't maintain this. This is destroying me. I have to lose muscle and you need the muscle to be able to function. You will going to break the diet and you will going to eat more. And then you have the yo-yo effect where
Mm.
you eat all of a sudden what you had before the diet. That was your usual diet, the day in, day out diet. And all of a sudden you gain even more weight. And you're like, well, why is this happening now? Because during the extreme diet you just did, you lost the muscle tissue. So it is very important when you want to lose body fat, emphasizes on body fat, like you want to go down in your weight but lose the body fat, that you have the right amount of macros so you save the muscle, you protect the muscle during that phase, and you're not going to lose it.
So what does that mean? So what should I
Hmm.
take care if I want to keep the macro balanced?
Hmm. Oh, good question. So if I go, you always, let's put it that way. You know what your ideal body weight is or where you want to be. You take that body weight. So in the United States, it's pounds. So what I do is 1 gram of protein per ideal weight of body weight, um, pound of body weight. That's what you use. So 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight. So if your ideal weight is, let's say, 120 pounds, you want 120 grams of protein per day. Very simple. So
Okay.
if you do that, then you said, okay, I have 3 meals. We make it very simple. So that would be 40 grams of protein per meal because you want the protein intake balanced. Very, very easy. And the protein intake needs to be robust in order to trigger muscle protein synthesis so you protect the muscle. They have a lot of clients who are grazers. They eat during the day, small meals. They have a protein shake, sip on it all day. And while they have probably a good amount of protein, but what happens
Mhm.
is the amount of protein in those tiny little meals is never enough to trigger muscle protein synthesis. So they are not going to be successful. They are hitting plateaus. They can't get rid of the body fat. They have a hard time during the workouts, keeping the energy levels up because they're spreading out their protein intake. So in the morning, for example, you're primed to take protein in because you had a long time with no food. So that's like one of the most important meals. I'm not talking about breakfast early in the morning. It's your first meal of the day, what needs to be robust. Okay?
Mhm.
So that is important that you have a good amount of protein to trigger muscle protein synthesis. So you have the base line with the protein. So protein always first in the diet if you create your perfect diet. The protein also has a ton of benefit if it comes to dieting because it has it triggers satiety, so you feel fuller faster and not having a lot of cravings. And it has also a thermogenic effect, meaning when you eat protein, just to break the protein down, the body needs 25 to 30% of the protein to digest, like it just digestive energy. So that's a huge benefit. Carbs, for example, is 5 to 10%, and fat is actually zero. So fat is the easiest to be digested and absorbed if it comes to like thermogenesis effects in digestion. So protein, very hard to break down for the body, complex molecule, so to speak. So when you have the base of the protein, what I do usually is I equal the carbs. So if you have 40 grams of protein, you do 40 grams of carbs with the same meal, equal it out. And I always focus on the fiber. So if you
Mm.
want to make the perfect plate, so to speak, you eat your protein first, then you have your fiber intake. And if you have the fiber, like you maxed out on vegetables, so to speak, you can use starchy carbs just to keep the blood sugar balanced. And then, of course, the healthy fats. Now, if you want to lose weight, it's pretty simple. And again, I do this with pounds. Um, can convert it in kilograms, I'm sure. But if you have the pounds and you want to lose weight, how much calories should you eat? It's for weight loss 0.7 multiplied by your weight, and that's the calorie intake. So that would be the amount you should have. Usually you end up around 1400, 1200 calories, and then you have like the 40 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, and then the rest is fat. How you distribute the fat during the day doesn't really matter. You can equal it out. You can say, I have it
Mhm.
only in the evening. So you can play with that. With the carbs, I usually want my clients to earn their carbs. So exercise goes together with the diet. And I build the carbs around their exercise so they have the energy to work out properly. But if you're not exercising, which I not recommend, the more balanced and the more equal out it is for the meals, the better for the body. You don't want spikes, you don't want huge heavy meals. So the more even, the better.
So I will ask a provocative question.
Mhm,
How do you decide what's your ideal weight? The target?
mhm.
Because I can have an idea by myself, but
Yeah,
maybe it's wrong, you know?
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Um,
asking this because I had the experience when I thought I would go to that number. And while I was going to that number, something happened. I think it's
I-
pretty common for women. I started to see my period being messed up. Never happened
mhm.
into my life. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering, and I also read about this, that for athletes, women, they have to, you know, train in a way that they cannot keep the same kind of extensive training all the time because
yeah.
otherwise they mess up their period and that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Mhm. What happens is if you again restrict too much, you get your hormones out of balance, and then you're not going to have your period, but you have other problems too. Like there always in the body are so many systems, and the systems work all together. And especially the endocrine system, we're talking about insulin, thyroid, sex hormones. So and here we are again. If you restrict too much and the body cannot maintain the muscle, you're messing
Mhm.
up your hormones. So this goes hand in hand. Of course, if you have too low of body fat and your training is too intense, and I talk about my own experience when I competed um, in bodybuilding, my body fat was very, very low. I didn't have my period at all, none,
Mm.
but I knew why. So I always made sure after a competition that I changed my diet, that I increase my caloric intake so I'm able to have like a healthy hormone system. So yes, correct. Now, what is the right weight for you? I always say like the right size body because everybody is so different. And if you go on a weight loss journey, this is why it's good to have support. You want to check in and you want to address those things. If the weight loss is too drastic, of course you get the hormones out of whack. What is your right amount of body weight? Usually it's for women, like I said, always the same range just by my experience. We always end up with those numbers. And, but in general, I can't really tell. I need to see that person. And then, we see what you're capable of doing and how your weight loss journey is going. I always approach it in a gentle way because I don't want to have those issues, what you just said. And this is a
Mm.
very important point. You should not have like problems with your hormones in any system. When it comes to cortisol, like your adrenal system, if you stress your body too much, and stress is interesting. There's good stress and bad stress. I always say that way. A good exercise regime and a routine is a good stressor. And you want the good stress to actually adapt and get better and progress and improve. Chronic stress, constantly being under stress, if it is answering phone calls, emails, meetings, being at work, taking care of kids, it like adds on and on and on and on, and you have that chronic stress, very, very problematic. And you're just more inflamed, gets the hormones out of whack. Cortisol is too high for too long of a period of time. And that's when we create issues again.
Mm. So, one question I have, and it's a problem, it's not only for me, is
Mhm.
every time I go to the doctor, like, it's just preventative medicine, just to
Yeah.
check myself out, make sure that everything is fine. I always get like pushbacks. Um, it feels like, and I also heard from someone who studied medicine this, that if you don't have a disease and you go to the doctor, basically you're not even a thing for them because they're
Mhm.
there for just taking care of a disease, something that it's already there. And I understand this from an objective point of view. On the other side, I feel we all need to do a little bit more preventative medicine because I get a lot of questions every time. Like, how do you keep being healthy? How do you eat this way? Do you find time for sport? All those things. And the people who ask me those things are normal people like me. You were in corporate, so you know how it's that lifestyle. We sit
Yep.
a lot, we have sedentary lifestyles, some people even smoke. You eat when you have time, so it is pretty hectic. But how do you know that you are unbalanced before to be really unbalanced, and when it's like a turning point that yes, you can do something but it's kind of too late, you know
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
what kind of test can we do? What is there for us?
Mhm. Oh gosh. So, I would say conventional medicine takes only care of problems, and what they do is address the issue. And I like conventional medicine if you have, for example, a broken leg and they need to fix the bone and you see what needs to be fixed. If it comes to preventative medicine, there is in conventional medicine not a lot going on. I like to work with functional or holistic doctors, and I like to do blood work on a regular basis, which gives me a little bit more information. You can actually test for if you're chronic inflamed. You can test how your blood sugar levels are. You can look at this. And looking at it, you need to understand what it means and how to put in the right measures and tools to actually get those numbers back to normal when they are already creeping up to be not okay, or if they are okay, what can you do to keep it that way? The the one thing I like, for example, I use Inside Tracker, which gives me all the blood markers, the biomarkers. It can it give you your biological age, and you get a lot of information. But this tool also allows you to say, okay, this is a number which is not quite okay, but this is the lifestyle changes in nutrition, exercise, or lifestyle, what you can do to actually get back on track and fix it. And the more preventative you are, the better you're off. I mean, think about it. You you don't take care of your health and you work all your life and then you save all the money that you can take care of all the illnesses when you're older. And this doesn't even make sense. So it is so important to have a healthy foundation where you can continue to function and have no diseases. And we're talking about like the major diseases like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's. Those are diseases which can be prevented with the right lifestyle.
Mm. And so I actually looked up this Insight Tracker. I think most of the services are for the United States, but I saw that you can actually get like your blood work from your doctor, and then you can
Hmm.
input the data in it. Because I think what is most necessary is like the analysis. Of course, you can get the
Yes,
numbers, right? But how do you read them if you
exactly.
know nothing about
Exactly.
medicine? It's so
Yep,
difficult, right?
it
So
is.
yeah, I think it's the way why we get lost. You know, they tell
Hmm.
you, I don't know, you have high cholesterol, and then you don't even know the difference from bad and good
Yes.
cholesterol, and all those implications. You have 5 minutes of time with your doctor, and then they don't even have time to explain you anything,
No,
basically, just giving you a
that
pill.
is
Yeah.
so correct. And I think you have to be your own advocate and you need to be educated about those things and what are important. And to create a healthy lifestyle, it's really not that complicated, but you have to be organized and you have to know what is important. And if you do those little things, I'm telling you, you have so much more freedom in in the food choices, in lifestyle choices, when you have like the foundation right.
Mm-mm. So if we say, okay, we talked about the ideal weight and how you should consider it. Um, if we have to think about someone who is already not overweight and feels, okay, I'm skinny, I should be fine, there's no issue, I can eat whatever I want. Do you think is it a good assumption or is there something else in that?
Um, I have a lot of clients actually who are, I call it skinny fat, and they have already underlining issues, but they address it not what the cause is, like we just said. So they talk about um, depression, anxiety, feeling stressed, not having energy, um, not being able to, yeah, make it through the day without energy drinks, having sleep issues, hormonal issues. Like there are, and these are already the signs that there is something going on, and they never address that, like the root cause, what is causing all of this. And this is a wrong take on of the whole concept. And we are so focused on body fat and again
Mhm.
to be skinny that we miss the point. And thankfully, it's changing. And there's a lot of education what needs to be done. But again, you need to focus on the muscle. And this is so funny. I have clients, they transformed from being skinny fat to be toned, and they still weigh the same. They never changed their weight, but their
So let's
body
throw away the
composition
balance.
changed.
Let's throw away the balance completely, right?
Yeah,
It's useless.
yeah. Well, but it's interesting how a skinny fat person and a toned person can weigh the same thing, but one person is not healthy, the other person is healthy. And
Crazy.
yeah, on the scale, you couldn't tell. You could not tell because they weigh the same. But yeah, it makes a
Oh,
big difference.
so, okay, now I have to ask you one thing. I've recently been measured. I did some tests at the gym. They have like this e-gym, plus they have, these advanced balances where you get like the composition and so on.
Yep.
And the only thing I didn't do was like the real oxygen VOX.
VO2 max.
Yeah, that thing I didn't do because they don't have the facilities. But everything I
Yeah.
did, and the result was like, okay, you're much younger than your real age. And I'm like, okay, like, should I believe it? Or I'm not quite sure. How far does this equipment help in understanding my body composition and bio age?
Mhm. So, okay. Um, I always look. So there are a couple things you just mentioned, which are super interesting. Now, we can only measure right now a body fat percentage.
Mhm.
The only accurate number you can get is by doing a DEXA scan. A DEXA scan is used usually to use for bone density measurements. So you can use that as well for measuring your lean mass, your body fat, and your bones. So what they use at the gym is not quite as accurate, but it's a good number. It gives you your body fat percentage, your lean mass, what your actual muscle mass is. The machine can tell you there is no measurement out there right now to actually measure muscle mass. Now, by having that number and you get a biological age of being younger, to be honest with you, I think it's a nice information, but what does it say? What does it really mean? The calendar doesn't change, and it doesn't mean like if it says your biological age is 23, that you're going to live another 70 years. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's, I don't know where this number comes from with the biological age. I think it's a good indication. It's a number telling you, okay, your body composition is in a really good spot and your biomarkers are really good, so you're healthy. Does it extend your life or you're younger? No. The time is the time. Like it is what it is, and you have to live with that number. But if you see the biological age is younger, that means that you're just a healthy person and you have a better life quality. And that is important. The health span is going to be longer. There's always
Mhm.
this discussion about lifespan and health span, and we are so focused on extending our lifespan and living a longer life. And biohacking is now huge, and I think it's fascinating and super interesting. But by the end of the day, what do you really want? I think the goal is to extend our health span, meaning to live a long, healthy life with no diseases and to be functional and independent, being able to do all the things you like to do when you retire. If it's playing with the grandkids or being able to travel or being able to play golf or tennis or just go shopping by yourself and do the things you like. You know what I'm saying? Without getting
Mm,
injured, not being dependent on any medication. And I think that is the important part. And in the United States right now, I looked up the number. The average lifespan is 79 years. The average health span is 63. That's a huge difference. So I'm just sad that 16 years, the last 16 years of your life, there is no life quality because you're dependent on medication. You need somebody who can get the groceries
mm,
for you. You need help in household. You can't do the things you like to do because you have some health problems. And I think the biological age on the test results you just got are just telling you that you're healthy and that your life and health span are matching, that this is pretty much like you extended your health span.
mm, Yeah, so this is, I think, really important that you get to the end, and when you're gone, like you're gone while you're still in good shape because it's just the
Yes,
time, right? I heard a lot
exactly.
of stories like over 100 years old people, and then one day they just don't wake up anymore and they were
Hmm.
fine until the day before. And I think
Yep,
that's the goal, right? I want to be.
exactly. That's my goal.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think then I'm wondering, how did you motivate yourself? Like when you hit rock bottom and like you need to be in the present. And like for many people, they want to go, on a fitness journey and it's about the future because right now I don't like myself. Right now I want to change. But you're stuck in the past, yourself past, and
Mhm.
you're just thinking about the future and you don't like what it's present. How do you get unstuck? How do you get motivated?
Yeah. So I always do some goal settings, and it can be any kind of goal. If it's just the next dress you would like to wear, put it out and look at that dress every day. You want to see it. If you have a certain goal in mind, write it down. I want you to actually consciously address the goal. And so it's in your mind, it's stuck. It's not just sad and you're not taking it seriously. Like the motivation comes from where you want to go. And I don't know, you can do a pin board like or put it on the refrigerator or some place where you can actually see what you want to accomplish. So there is the motivation. Now, of course, motivation can only get you that far. And what comes into place is you have to create healthy habits that you're able to maintain without over stressing yourself. And when you create those habits, it has to get into automaticity. So you want to do it automatically. So the motivation, I understand we all motivated, of course, for best example, New Year's resolutions, January, gyms are packed. They all want to change their life. And then they all fizzle out like 2 weeks after or in February, I won't see them anymore at all. So the motivation lasts only that long. Only the person who has a plan, puts it in action, makes it a habit, and does, how can I say it, like small steps in incorporating every day a little bit more in working towards that goal and doesn't put a lot of emotions in it, gets
Mm.
there. I think it's interesting when we talk about automaticity and habit creating. Think about it. You brush your teeth every morning, right?
Yeah, it's a
Do you
routine.
put any, yeah, it's a routine. Do you put any emotions in? Oh, what toothbrush should I take?
Oh God.
What toothpaste? What flavor? You know how you over it? No, you don't. You get up, you brush your teeth. And that's how the workout should be. Your diet should be not so much like, oh, I want this, I want that, and what's the best workout clothes, and it should be fun, and it should be that. Don't overthink it. Make it so you enjoy the time. Don't make it too long if you can handle too long. Like whatever is right now the thing you can do, put it in the healthy stuff and then work your way up. You want to improve, you want to progress, and that's the same with the workout. You want to not overload your system, but you always want to challenge yourself to get better and better and better. When you do this and you are successful, I guarantee you will get up and you want to do it because you
Yeah,
want to have that success feeling.
true.
Mhm.
So, Angela, thank you. I have one last question before we
Yeah,
close. Um, because, being an athlete is always a journey, it's continuous change. And I'm pretty sure your experience it's the same as we discussed. What is then your next adventure? How do you see your adventure folding out? What
this
next
is
inspiration?
yeah. I just like to be able to help more women. So I'm right now switching my business from one-on-one to online coaching. And I want to create a community where I can support women to get stronger and healthier and building that up. And that's my passion and that's what I enjoy and that's what I want to bring to the world.
Sounds amazing, I would say. Maybe you will see me also among one of those
I
women.
would love to.
All right. Then I wish you all the best and thank you a lot for your time today, for being here on Athlete, and to the next one.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.